The 1991 P United States quarter dollar is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, one of the most recognizable and widely circulated coins in American history. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin's design has endured for decades as a proud symbol of the nation's heritage. The obverse front of the 1991 quarter features the profile bust of George Washington, the first president of the United States, facing left. This portrait was originally sculpted by John Flanagan, who based his design on a bust created by French neoclassical sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785. Across the top of the coin is the word liberty, emphasizing one of the foundational values of the United States, while to the left of Washington's neck appears the motto, "In God We Trust," first added to U.S. coins during the Civil War era and reaffirmed as a national statement of faith and unity. Below Washington's profile is the date, 1991, representing the year of minting. Above the date, slightly to the right, is the small letter P, the mint mark identifying that this particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the four main facilities of the U.S. Mint. Interestingly, before 1980, the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on quarters, so coins from Philadelphia were indistinguishable from those minted in Denver or San Francisco, unless the latter bore their respective D or S marks. However, beginning in 1980, the P mint mark became standard, and thus the 1991 P quarter clearly identifies its origin. The reverse, back, of the 1991 quarter continues to display the classic eagle design that has appeared on Washington quarters since 1932 and remained in use until 1998, when the 50-state quarters program began. This design, also by John Flanagan, shows a majestic bald eagle perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing America's readiness to defend its freedom, while the eagle's wings are spread wide to signify strength, independence, and protection. Below the arrows are olive branches, representing peace, a balance between the readiness for defense and the desire for harmony. Encircling the top of the reverse side are the words, United States of America, while the national motto, E pluribus unum, appears just above the eagle's head. The Latin phrase means, out of many, one, highlighting the unity of the many states and people that make up the nation. At the bottom is the coin's denomination, quarter dollar, indicating its face value of 25 cents. In terms of physical characteristics, the 1991 P quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, a core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This modern composition replaced the earlier 90% silver, 10% copper alloy used in quarters prior to 1965, following the Coinage Act of 1965, which eliminated silver from circulating coinage due to rising metal costs. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, 0.955 inches, and features a reeded edge, tiny grooves around the rim, a security feature originally intended to prevent people from shaving off small amounts of precious metal from coins. The 1991 P quarter was produced in large numbers. Over 570 million pieces were minted that year at the Philadelphia Mint, ensuring it was widely circulated across the country and remains common even today. From a collector's perspective, the 1991 P quarter is not considered a rare coin in general circulation, as most examples are still worth only their face value of 25 cents unless they are in exceptional condition. However, uncirculated or proof-quality specimens can attract modest collector interest. A brilliant, uncirculated 1991 P quarter with sharp details, clean surfaces, and minimal handling marks may be worth between $1 and $5, depending on market conditions and grading. Coins certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC in Mint State 65, MS 65, or higher grades may command slightly higher prices, especially if they exhibit full strike details and strong luster. Proof versions of the 1991 quarter, however, were produced exclusively at the San Francisco Mint with an S mint mark and have a mirror-like finish, so any quarter with a P mark from 1991 is definitely a circulation strike, not a proof. A handful of minting errors or varieties can make some 1991 quarters more valuable, such as off-center strikes, double die obverse, or misaligned dies. But such errors are rare and must be authenticated by experts to determine true value. Historically, the 1991 quarter represents the final decade of the Eagle reverse era before the U.S. Mint dramatically redesigned the quarter in 1999 for the 50-state quarters program, one of the most popular coin series in American history. Therefore, the 1991 P quarter is part of the closing chapter of the classic Washington quarter design, linking modern America with the next top. The 1992 P United States of America quarter dollar is a modern circulation coin belonging to the long and historically significant Washington quarter series, a design first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of America's first president, George Washington. This particular 1992 Philadelphia minted piece carries the P mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse, a placement that had become standard by this period, and it represents a time in U.S. minting history when the mint was transitioning into high-speed, high-efficiency production operations that produced hundreds of millions of clad quarters annually. The obverse features John Flanagan's classic portrait of George Washington, originally selected in the early 1930s after a design competition intended to honor Washington without resorting to overly ornate or overly symbolic imagery, showing Washington in a dignified left-facing profile that became one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Above his head appears the bold word Liberty, a tradition maintained on nearly all U.S. coins since the nation's early days, meant to affirm the founding principles of the United States. To the left of Washington's neck is the national motto, "In God We Trust," adopted widely on U.S. coinage beginning in the 19th century and officially mandated on all U.S. coins in the 20th century. The motto appears in crisp, serifed letters that reflect typical engraving standards of the era and sits harmoniously against the portrait's neckline and chest area. The reverse of the 1992 P quarter still uses the long-running heraldic eagle design that had been introduced in 1932 and remained until the state quarters commenced in 1999. It depicts an eagle with outstretched wings, perched above a bundle of arrows symbolizing national defense and readiness, with an olive wreath below signifying America's desire for peace. This combination communicates the well-known duality of American identity, strength paired with diplomacy. Directly above the eagle's head is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, representing the unity formed from individual states and diverse peoples. This phrase has appeared on American coins for over 2 centuries, becoming one of the strongest symbolic anchors of U.S. numismatic tradition. Surrounding the top of the reverse design are the words, United States of America, while the lower reverse carries the denomination quarter dollar, identifying it as the standard 25-cent piece used in commerce. The 1992 P quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad alloy, consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin its silvery appearance while ensuring durability sufficient for decades of use in circulation. This clad composition has been standard for non-silver quarters since 1965, when rising silver prices forced the removal of silver from everyday coinage. The Philadelphia Mint struck well over 500 million quarters in 1992, making the 1992 P extremely common in circulated condition, so common that most examples are worth face value unless they show unusually high mint state preservation or significant mint errors. A typical circulated 1992 P quarter will show wear on Washington's hair, smoothing of the cheek and jawline, softening of the eagle's feathers, and some diminution of the fine lines around the lettering. The luster that once radiated in cartwheel fashion across fresh, uncirculated coins generally becomes dull after years in pockets, cash drawers, and vending machine usage. In uncirculated condition, particularly in grades MS 65, MS 66, or higher, the coin becomes more attractive to modern-issue collectors, although even in these high grades it remains relatively affordable due to the large mintage of the year and the availability of well-preserved rolls saved by collectors or obtained directly from banks at the time. Collectors sometimes search for error varieties from 1992, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, die cracks, die chips, and struck-through errors caused by grease, cloth fibers, or debris interfering with the die. While most minor errors add only modest value, dramatic mistakes can make a 1992 P quarter significantly more desirable, especially if the error is visually striking. Historically, the 1992 P quarter sits in the final decade of the pre-statehood quarter era, marking the twilight of the traditional Washington/Eagle design before the U.S. Mint launched the enormously popular 50-state quarters program in 1999, which permanently changed the face of the series and brought millions of casual collectors into the hobby. Because the 1992 quarter contains no silver, its melt value is negligible, only a few cents, so its worth lies primarily in numismatic interest rather than metal content. Yet despite its low monetary value, the coin carries historical weight. It represents the steady continuity. Next top. The 1986 United States quarter dollar, minted in Philadelphia as indicated by the P mint mark, is a coin that carries both historical significance and a snapshot of American coinage design standards of the late 20th century. Struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, with an inner core of pure copper and outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, this quarter weighs 5.67 grams and measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter, featuring a reeded edge that has long been a hallmark of U.S. quarters. On the obverse, the coin prominently displays the iconic portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan in 1932 to commemorate the bicentennial of Washington's birth, a design that has endured with minor modifications for decades. Surrounding Washington's profile, one can find the inscriptions Liberty at the top of the coin, In God We Trust on the left side, and the date 1986 at the bottom, reflecting a combination of patriotic, religious, and chronological markers that anchor the coin in both civic symbolism and historical context. Additionally, the P mint mark, located just to the right of Washington's ponytail, signifies production at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most historically significant mints in the United States, which has been in operation since 1792 and has played a central role in circulating coins nationwide. On the reverse, the design features a bald eagle with outstretched wings perched atop a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend the nation, with two olive branches at the bottom representing peace. The inscriptions, United States of America, across the top and $quarter at the bottom frame the eagle, while the traditional Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, arches above the eagle, conveying the enduring ideal of unity from diverse states and peoples. The 1986 quarter belongs to the Washington Quarter series, which since 1965 had been produced in copper-nickel-clad rather than the silver that had characterized earlier quarters, marking a shift in U.S. coinage material driven by rising silver prices. Collectors often note the coin's proofs, uncirculated specimens, and circulation strikes, each with varying degrees of luster, strike detail, and potential for numismatic value. Although most 1986 Philadelphia quarters are considered common in circulated condition, uncirculated coins in MS, mint state, grades may be valued slightly higher due to their flawless surfaces. The coin also reflects broader economic and cultural themes of the mid-1980s, including the transition from traditional precious metal coinage to more cost-efficient alloys and the continued celebration of foundational American symbols such as George Washington, the bald eagle, and the nation's mottos. Beyond its monetary function as 25 cents, the 1986 P quarter serves as a small but enduring artifact of U.S. history, government authority, and national identity, bridging everyday commerce with symbolism that connects Americans to the country's founding principles. Collectors and historians alike appreciate its place in the Washington Quarter chronology, its role in Philadelphia mint output, and its consistent representation of American values through inscriptions, imagery, and metal composition, making it a modest yet meaningful piece of numismatic and cultural heritage. Next top. The 1988 United States quarter dollar, minted in Denver, as indicated by the D mint mark located to the right of George Washington's portrait on the obverse, represents a continuation of the Washington Quarter series, a design lineage that has been in continuous circulation since 1932. Struck in the copper-nickel-clad composition standard for post-1964 quarters, this coin consists of an inner core of pure copper sandwiched between two outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, yielding a total weight of 5.67 grams and a diameter of 24.26 millimeters. Its reeded edge, a feature dating back to the 18th century in U.S. coinage, not only provides tactile distinction but also historically served as a deterrent against coin clipping. On the obverse, the coin prominently features the profile of George Washington, a design originally crafted by John Flanagan for the bicentennial of Washington's birth in 1932 and slightly modified over the decades. Around Washington, one finds the enduring inscriptions, Liberty at the top, In God We Trust, to the left of the bust, and the date, 1988, beneath his portrait, firmly situating the coin in a specific historical moment while affirming both national identity and a religious affirmation customary in U.S. coinage. The presence of the Denver Mint Mark D distinguishes it from Philadelphia and San Francisco mint coins, reflecting the decentralized production strategy of the United States Mint and Denver's long-standing role in producing coins for widespread circulation. Turning the coin over to the reverse, one encounters the traditional bald eagle design, wings outstretched and perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and the readiness of the United States to defend itself, flanked by two olive branches that denote peace, with the inscriptions, United States of America, across the top and $quarter along the bottom. Above the eagle, the phrase, E pluribus unum, Latin for out of many one, is inscribed, encapsulating the foundational ideal of unity among the diverse states of the Union. The 1988 Denver quarter exists within a period of relatively stable U.S. coinage, as by this time silver had been removed from circulating quarters for over 2 decades, and the use of copper-nickel-clad ensured durability, cost-effectiveness, and widespread usability in commerce. From a numismatic perspective, most 1988 Denver quarters are abundant and considered of low collector value in circulated condition, yet uncirculated coins, especially those graded MS 65 or higher, can attract modest premiums due to pristine surfaces and full mint luster. The coin's composition and design also provide insights into broader social, political, and economic trends of the late 1980s. It reflects the American public's continued respect for historical figures, the emphasis on patriotic symbolism, and the ongoing adaptation of coinage to practical and economic realities. Collectors and historians alike appreciate the 1988 Denver quarter not only as a monetary instrument of 25 cents, but also as a tangible embodiment of American ideals, national iconography, and minting technology. Beyond its immediate economic function, it serves as a small yet powerful reminder of the nation's enduring symbols. Washington as the father of the country, the bald eagle as a representation of strength, and mottos such as, In God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, as expressions of both moral values and the political philosophy underlying the United States. Its circulation in everyday transactions, combined with the possibility of mint state preservation in collections, allows the 1988 Denver quarter to occupy a dual role, a functional coin facilitating commerce, and a collectible piece of American history that connects ordinary citizens with a broader narrative of national continuity, design heritage, and civic identity. Through the lens of the 1988 quarter, one can explore the evolution of minting practices, the significance of the Philadelphia and Denver mints in meeting the nation's demand for coinage, and the ways in which small, everyday objects carry profound cultural, economic, and symbolic meaning.